Good day everyone, today we'll be discussing the urinary system. So first, let's proceed to the functions of the urinary system. We have, of course, excretion of waste, maintenance of fluid balance, maintenance of blood pH, or what we call the acid-base balance, regulation of the blood pressure, and production of hormones. So what are the organs included in the urinary system? We have the kidneys, the ureter, the urinary bladder, and the urethra. So the kidney is a major filtering organ, while the ureter connects the kidney, and the urinary bladder. So this is the ureters. Then the urethra is the exit tube in the urinary system. So kidneys, it is a reddish brown bean-shaped organ. Anong size niya? 10 to 12 centimeters long, 5 to 6 centimeters wide, and 2.5 to 3 centimeters thick. So, ito yung mahalaga dyan. Each kidney contains approximately 1 to 1.5 million of nephrons. So, yung nephrons, they are the structural and functional unit of the kidney. So, there are two basic parts ng kidney. We have the renal corpuscle and renal tubules. So the renal corpuscle is a tough fibrous membrane that covers the kidney. Yung hilus or hilum is the indentation present in the kidneys where the renal artery vein and ureter leave the kidney. Renal cortex is the reddish granular that occupies the outer portion of the kidney. Renal medulla is the striated inner portion of the kidney. Tapos yung urinephorous tubules is the collective term for the nephron. So yan, we have the cortex, the medulla, and the pelvis. So yung cortex, ito yun. Yan yung cortex. Yung medulla, para siyang fan shape, di ba? Para siyang pamaypay yung itsura niya. Tapos yung pelvis, it is where the ureter connects to the kidney. So what are the regions of the kidney? We have the arcuate arteries and veins, blood vessels in the junction of the cortex and the medulla. We have the renal pyramids, striated conical structures in the renal medulla. We have the renal columns of Berlin. So it separates the renal pyramids from each other. Renal papilla is the apex of the renal pyramid which projects into the cavity of the kidney, and we have the medullary rays of Ferin, groups of parallel tubules that appears as longitudinal streaks. So we have the minor and major calyx. Minor calyx surrounds the apex of the renal pyramids. A major calyx, bigger tubular structures form from minor calyces. So the renal pelvis is the point where the two or more major calyces join together. Functions as funnel for urine flowing to the ureter. We have the renal lobe. Renal lobe is a renal pyramid and the cortical tissue that overlies its base and surrounds its sides. So a kidney has 10 to 15 lobes because it has 10 to 15 pyramid. So ito yung lobe na sinasabi. So each kidney daw merong 10 to 15 lobes. Ito yung medulla. Yung mismong parang fan shape. Para siyang pyramid na parang pamaypay. Yung cortex. Of the renal lobules, it is defined partly within the cortex and partly in the medulla. It consists of papillary duct, collecting tubules, nephrons, blood vessels, and connective tissues. So we have also renal arteries. So the renal artery is the artery that supplies the left and right kidneys. Interlobular arteries, renal blood vessels given off at right angles from the side of the arcuate arteries. We have the afferent and the efferent arterioles also. So stellate veins joins form the interlobular veins. Interlobular veins are veins in the cortex of the kidney that empty into the arcuate veins. Yung arcuate veins, these veins receive oxygen for blood, while the medullary veins are the veins where venous blood from the medulla are drained. We have the urinephros tubule, so it is a collective term for nephron and intrarenal ducts. So the nephron, ulit nga, it is the functional unit of the kidney. Gano'n nga kadami nephron sa isang kidney? We have 1 to 1.5 million of nephrons. Tapos ulit, ang parts niya is the renal corpuscle and the renal tubule. So the renal corpuscle, or other term for that, is the Malpighian corpuscle. It measures 2,000 microns in diameter. Tapos it has two main components with the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. Ano yung glomerulus? Glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries encircled within a Bowman's capsule. So, ibig sabihin yung glomerulus, yun yung nasa loob ng Bowman's capsule. So, it is very important for filtration of waste and important nutrients in the body. So we have under glomerulus, we have mesangial or mesangial matrix. The mesangium occupies the spaces between the glomerular capillaries. We have the glomerular mesangial cells. They are the stellate-shaped cells that are embedded in the mesangial matrix. So we have the Bowman's capsule. It is a double-walled sac that envelopes the glomerulus. So yung inner wall niya wraps the internal surface, while the outer wall forms the outer boundary of the renal corpuscle. So this is the Bowman's capsule. Tapos, ito yung glomerular capillaries. So the parietal layer of the Bowman's capsule, it is made up of simple squamous epithelium. Yung visceral naman is made up of podocytes. Ano yung podocytes? They are stellate cells that contain cytoplasmic processes and food processors or the pedicels. So ito yung mga podocytes. So we have the glomerular filtration barrier. So blood in the glomerulus is separated from the blood capsule by a very thin sheet of tissue called the glomerular filtration barrier. So it is consists of fenestrated endothelium, basal lamina, and slit membrane. So we have the renal tubules. So ang renal tubules, meron siyang different segments. Of the proximal convoluted tubule, we have the descending limb of Henle or descending loop of Henle. We have the loop of Henle, ascending limb or loop of Henle, and the distal convoluted tubule. So we have the proximal convoluted tubule. So it is the longest segment of the renal tubule, and it is made up of simple cuboidal epithelium. So the surface of the proximal convoluted tubule is made up of microvilli or brush borders para saan siya for absorption of important nutrients. We have the loop of Henle. It is located between the proximal convoluted tubule and the distal convoluted tubule. So it is composed of three separate segments. We have the thick descending limb of Henle, thin limb of Henle, and the thick ascending limb of Henle. So the nephrons are classified into two based on the length of the loop of Henle. We have the short loop. First yun, it is also known as the cortical nephrons. It comprises the majority of the nephrons in the kidney. And we also have the long loop or the juxtamedullary nephrons, the loop that extends to the renal medulla. Then we have the distal convoluted tubule. It is the last segment of the nephron, which entirely located in the cortex. So it is composed of cuboidal epithelial cells. Wala siyang microvilli, pero it is still involved in the reabsorption of small amounts of water and other substances. So yan, picture lang yan. So we have the juxtaglomerular complex or apparatus. It secretes renin. Ano yung renin? It is important in the sodium retention and maintenance of normal blood pressure. So it is composed of 3 cell types. We have the juxtaglomerular cells. Siya ay nagsisecrete ng renin and possibly din ng erythropoietin and thrombopoietin. We have the macula densa. Yung signals nun promotes renin secretion and the extraglomerular mesangial cells. It is also known as Paul Caution cells or Lassie cells. So we have the urinary passages and the urinary bladder. So the ureter conveys into the urine into the urinary bladder where it is stored temporarily. So during micturition, urine is expelled to the environment via the urethra. So ito yung urinary bladder. So makikita nyo dito we have internal sphincter and external sphincter. So this is the histology of the urinary bladder. So yun nga, transitional, di ba sa urinary bladder? Doon lang tayo makakita ng transitional epithelium. So magkaiba yung shape niya pag siya ay relax at pag siya ay stretch. Kumbaga na-stretch dahil ng urine. So we have the mucosa. The epithelium that lines the mucosa is made up of transitional epithelium. Ito yung sinasabi ko, pag relax, we have cuboidal. Pag stretch naman, we have the squamous. They are termed umbrella cells. Bakit? They are dome-shaped cells bulging out in the lumen. So we have the muscular layer. It is made up of smooth muscles that forms bundle. Tapos yung adventitious serosa, it contains blood, lymphatic vessels, and nerves. The ureters are tubes made up of smooth muscle fibers that propel urine from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. So we have the lumen. So the urethra is the terminal portion of the urinary system. So in males, urethra is shared by urinary and reproductive system. Sa females naman, it only belongs to the urinary system. So the male urethra has 3 segments. We have the prostatic, transverses the prostate gland made up of transitional epithelium. It houses the urethral gland. It receives ducts of prostate gland and ejaculatory ducts. Of the membranous, it is the shortest segment of the urethra. And we have the spongy or the penile or cavernous urethra. It is the longest segment of the urethra. It is made up of pseudostratified columnar epithelium. So yan yung itsura niya. Sa female naman, shorter siya than male. It is attached to the anterior of the vagina. Yung initial segment niya is transitional epithelium, but throughout the rest of the urethra, made up of na siya ng non-keratinized squamous epithelium. So yan yung itsura niya. So that is the histologic layer of the urethra for both male and female.